Hi, friends. Let's see, I was going to do that. Hi, friends, and welcome to Talking with Smith People. My name is host Eric. I'm host Talking with Smith People. I'm here with my beloved Rachel, and I want to talk about the horrible car crash of a disaster that happens when ESFPs write a TV show. I have watched probably close to 2 full seasons now of this incredibly bad anime called Gaki. Gaki. It's about the son of the world's strongest man, who's a Japanese guy called the Ogre, who's so incredibly strong that I mean, you wouldn't believe how strong this guy is.
Yeah.
This show it has no arc to the storyline at all, right? It's completely like a 12-year-old boy wrote it. The whole thing.
The whole thing. There's even gratuitous sex.
The way the two characters talk about having the sex and stuff is very is very strange. The person who wrote it is clearly a small Japanese guy who's really into muscles because
yes.
Everybody in the show, like, the amount of surprise people express in this show is astonishing. There was a warden who was walking through. There's one prisoner in the United States who gets luxurious treatment, right? And his name is Unchained because he gets this luxurious treatment because he's so badass, of course.
Yeah.
There's no explanation as to why it is exactly that his badassery causes him to have this arrangement. But when the Japanese police guy who comes to pick him up from America because he's so badass that he can help him beat these criminals in Japan, he spends about 5 full minutes expressing surprise at the luxurious conditions of this convict. I showed Rachel a section of this, I believe, right? Yeah. So he goes, "What? This can't be a convict's room. This hallway here? What, with this luxurious carpet in a convict's room?
That's the first thing
What?
I saw.
And these paintings on the wall, they look like famous paintings and what? Statues. And then what? What? It's like it just keeps going. It's insane.
He's astonished by everything.
He's continually astonished by everything.
Yes.
And then at the end, of course, when he finally gets to talk to the guy, he's astonished to hear the notion that this guy could possibly help him catch these criminals, even though he went there to get him for that purpose.
Oh my gosh. And then, is it Muhammad Ali's grandson or son?
Muhammad Ali's son, right. So then, abruptly out of nowhere, the storyline inserts Muhammad Ali into the storyline. So Muhammad Ali, it turns out that Gaki's dad, he's already kicked Muhammad Ali's ass. So you watched it too, yourself. You watched it too. You did the same thing I did. You just were like, what?
I literally walked in on that scene, like, and Eric's like, look, he's astounded by, like, everything. And
He's
sure
like,
enough, every scene, he's just like, huh? What?
The way they get around it is they spell his name, at least in the translations, Muhammad Alai.
Oh my gosh. I was wondering if they were using his actual name.
No, but they have a character who's definitely Muhammad Ali, okay? who had the Rumble in the Jungle and fought George Foreman and stuff. There's a scene when the young Ali in 1976 is training in Tokyo, doing road work in Tokyo, when Gaki's dad shows up out of the blue to challenge him to a fight. and then the scene is basically Muhammad Ali expressing humility and shame at his own weakness compared to this really strong Japanese guy. And, we in the West don't understand how powerful Japan really is. And then the Japanese guy says, no, you are strong, Muhammad Ali, because you are a draft dodger. It's like, what? The Gaki's dad, who's always physically pummeling people in their bloody pulps, is validating Muhammad Ali because he was a draft dodger. I mean, yeah. So the crazy thing is, in the show, Muhammad Ali has Parkinson's disease, right? So, but every time he wants to, he uses his strong resolve and will to just stop it. Then he gets up and says, "Don't fool yourself. I'm just as fast as I've ever been." Oh, we also learned that I just recently learned. I may have to finish watching it eventually to find out all the ridiculousness, but it turns out it's not Parkinson's. It wasn't boxing that gave Muhammad Ali Parkinson's disease. It was Muhammad Ali's son. There's no follow-up as to how it was that Muhammad Ali's son gave Muhammad Ali Parkinson's disease. But it definitely wasn't boxing. It's the point. So then Muhammad Ali's son shows up and starts kicking everybody's ass, right? And then he's on the same team with Gaki, fighting in this tournament in China. The tournament is held once every 100 years. And it's a one-day long tournament.
Once every 100 years.
It's like the Olympics done to the absolute max. It's a world fighting tournament that occurs one day every 100 years. They get the whole thing out of the way. In one day. Now, of course, in this tournament that Muhammad Ali's son is paired up with Gaki and Gaki's father and a couple of other good guys, right? Not China. Not China. China's the bad guy, right? So the audience is all Chinese and they're all rooting for China. And then what happens is the first few Chinese guys get their asses kicked. So then the Grand Master, who's like 170 years old or something, right? Of Kendo, he comes out and he says, "That's it. From this point forward, we're going to have a perfect victory. There are 5 fighters left for China and 5 fighters who aren't from China. We're going to just have that's going to go like this. And we're going to go from this point forward to the Chinese guy, the old Chinese guy. We're going to go 5-0. Then the first 3 Chinese guys after that lose again. And he goes to the back room, the old guy with the 3 Chinese guys who lose. And he says, put your hands together like this. They do. And he stabs them with a knife together, and then he chops them off so that all 3 hands fall to the floor like that, and as punishment for them losing and proving him to be a liar about their perfect record. Then the next guy loses, and then finally the old guy who chopped off the hands, he loses, at which point he gives a wise speech explaining how really they had gone 5-0 because they'd all survived, and that's the point of martial arts. Well, then why did you cut off their hands?
Exactly.
It's after the way the old guy got out of officially losing the last fight was by dying, so that the other fighter thought that he had won, and then the other fighter walked off the thing, and then the old Chinese guy. It was determined later after he was carted off. Oh, he's still alive, actually.
Yeah.
And he explains that's the best martial art of all. It's pretend to be dead so that your opponent stops attacking you. And that's how he had won the fight. And now keep in mind, after Gaki's dad had beaten the shit out of this old guy, this elderly Chinese guy, right? Boxed his ears till blood came spurting out of his ears. Yes. Blood coming out of all his orifices. The doctor runs over after he dies. The doctor comes over and says, "Death by old age." Death by old age.
Completely disregards the whole scene for it.
Let's ignore all the incredible violence that was done to this man over the course of the last 20 minutes. He's dead now, but I've concluded death by old age.
As to not offend.
No, everybody goes, wow, crazy. He was about to lose, and then he died from old age.
Back. And then he came back.
He didn't even come back and fight the guy again.
No, he's on he's on a stretcher.
Yeah, he gets carried off, and then he claims that he didn't lose, and that really none of them had lost. They'd gone 5-0. And then, very much like a 12-year-old would do, they go, but all the Chinese audience was happy anyway, and the results were unclear. The results were not unclear. The Chinese people didn't win a single fight. The whole competition, every single battle was won by the good guys in some way or another. And when the bad guys would win, it would be by something like that, like well, I died, and therefore you stopped punching me, so you didn't win. Then Muhammad Ali's son, after the tournament, out of nowhere, even though he's only seen her one time before or something, walks up to Gaki's girlfriend and asks her to marry him.
Yeah.
It's like out of nowhere.
Like, what?
Not to mention the fact that the thing I put in the comments under other selves thing, that was the most hilariously weird like ESFP moment. But there's a number of things like this where Gaki had gotten poisoned by one of the guys' poison hand. So one of the tricks the Chinese Kempo use is poison hand. And it's like how Utter Self explains right here. Oh, to get poison hand requires immense training. And then there's a bunch of arbitrary TE bullshit, right? It somehow connects to the outcome without any explanation as to why. It's like, you've got to first, you get to grind up some poison creatures. You mix it with sand. Do that 3 times, refining the sand. Then, for 3 days and 3 nights consecutively, every 15 seconds, punch the sand, punch the sand, punch the sand, and then dip your hand in water. And then repeat, for 3 full days and nights. Many people who attempt this can't take the training and choose to chop off their own hand rather than continue the training. It's so painful. But at the end of your training, you too will have poison hand. And you can use this to win any fight because you can just, every time you punch somebody, they get poisoned. It could not be any more like it was written by a 12-year-old.
I know. I just see like an excited ESFP coming into the writing room, standing in front of everyone, being like, "I have this great idea," and then
suddenly, and then pow!
Yeah,
it's like that's how it's written. It's probably like 3 pages worth of writing. It says various characters express surprise in sound and facial expression. But the thing about the poison hand is, so after he'd been poisoned by poison hand, he goes and arbitrarily, after hiding in one place for a long time, I don't remember exactly why, he starts hiding in a cave for a little while. Like for just one scene, he and the girl have moved to hide in a cave, and they're talking about him being poisoned and whether he's going to survive that and stuff. And then these glowing red eyes appear from the back of the cave, getting larger, and she goes, "Oh, what's that?" And he goes, "Oh, that's a mysterious yeti I once fought in a tournament." End scene. Yeti never mentioned before or since.
It's good for some laughs, honestly.
He goes, and smiles knowingly. That's that mysterious yeti that I fought in a tournament once. He's cool. There was another example of this is before the arc, to use the word very loosely, the arc of Muhammad Ali's son trying to steal Gaki's girl.
Yeah.
which Gaki is insanely cool about.
Yes.
like not sanely cool, right? He's just like, hey, I don't know her. You're a man, she's a woman. I can't tell you who to hit on or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's up to her. And she's like, but don't you have a preference, Gaki? and she learns the wisdom of the ESFP. Hey, we don't own each other.
Hey, we don't know each other. Wow, that is the wisdom of the ESFP.
There's also the old sage. It's like the Yeti too. Right before the arc, where Muhammad Ali starts wanting to marry his girlfriend out of nowhere, and
it's very, very like intense too. He's like, "I've decided to marry you," and us and I think her are like, "What? Where is this coming from?"
But Gaki is totally unthreatened. But
no, and he is unthreatened.
That's fine to be unthreatened. But the funny thing is, then like a scene later, she's sitting at like a coffee shop at a table with Muhammad Ali's son. like all of a sudden, he spent the whole first season plus of them having this pure and ultimate love relationship, and them eventually working up to having sex, which they do in this very it's very ESFP-ish.
Going like, ah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it's like she's switched from "you're the love of my life" to, well, okay, I guess now there's two people courting me.
Oh my god!
What?
That is a what? My goodness, Gaki's girlfriend.
I mean, the thing is, there's never any full finished development of any of the story arcs. So at the beginning, they're saying, they give this example of glycerin, nitroglycerin, and it says, it sounds like something, and the ESFP would believe is true, actually, that there was a night back in 1900 where there was a ship that was carrying glycerin, and back then, glycerin could only be in a liquid state, and it was very explosive, very challenging to carry. And the ship tossed and turned on the waves of the storm, lightning bursting everywhere. And when it got to shore, all of the glycerin had turned to nitroglycerin, but the kind that's not a liquid. And you know what else? From that point forward, all the glycerin everywhere started to turn into nitroglycerin. That's called a moment of synchronicity. That's what's happening here, is all these fighters are coming to compete in this tournament in Japan, this underground fighting tournament in Japan. That never happens. They end up getting sidetracked into all this other shit, and then go to an unrelated tournament in China later that doesn't have those criminals in it. So what was all this synchronicity shit that you're setting up in the first place? Well, that was yesterday's truth. Today's truth has new explosions in it. Yeah, so when Baki and his girlfriend are either having sex or right. Baki's father bursts in on him as he's about to have sex with his girlfriend for the first time and explains to him that it's good for him to have a lot of sex because it makes him stronger. and he's got to get stronger and stronger, and that's a good way to do it. Now, of course, this is Japanese ESFP logic. Non-Japanese ESFP logic is, if you have sex, it makes you weaker. It's like there's no link story. It's just, that's just how it is with my 4th slot and my SE. my FI and my I just and so yeah, Baki's dad comes in and tells him, "You better start fucking this girl right now. You better fuck a bunch of other chicks too." And then he closes the door, and Baki's like, "Oh, don't worry about my dad. I want to fuck you for my own reasons, not for my dad's reasons." And she's like, "Okay, then."
It was like really graphic too. The
Yeah,
first
there
time
was,
he has
there were
sex.
boobs and stuff.
And sucking on boobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like very specific, you know? Usually that stuff is kind of just general. Like it's a grabbing or a head to the boob, to the chest. But this was like twiddle with the nips.
Right. Well, also when they finally went to have sex for the first time after their other first time had gotten interrupted, Baki or Gaki or whatever his name is says to his girlfriend, "Next time we see each other, I'm doing it to you. I'm having the sex." And the next time, so he goes over to meet with her at this little like weird abandoned clubhouse they hang out at for no explained reason again. There's this abandoned building where they hang out in. It's like a former convenience store. There's no explanation as to why they're there or anything. But it was not narrated by Baki the entire time. Well, so he shows up and she's like, "Oh, hey, cool." Trying to take it kind of slow. "I made us some food." He's like, "No, sex now." And she's like, "Okay, well, let me get freshened up a bit. Let me shower." "No." Push her against the wall. "No." Yeah, well, this particular anime, this is what happens when you have too much investor money and don't know what to do with it. Is your Netflix and you end up going, "Hey, sounds like this guy's got a good story." I mean, how did he come in and pitch this? What's the elevator pitch? So it's like, okay, so it starts with this high school kid. He's like a senior in high school and he's super muscly, okay? Super muscly, like super strong. Now, at the beginning of the show, he's already won the last tournament that they had. And they're about to, but all these, then all these criminals from different parts of the world break out of prison. But 5 different spots all around the world, all on the same day, though. Not because they planned it, it's just coincidence. And they all decide to go to Japan because they've heard that's where the strongest man is. And they want to beat him up. Each of them says the same reason why they escaped. They were, all 5 of them, they were being executed, but they survived the execution and got it away, okay? And they all give the same reason. "I need to taste defeat," is what they said. Because they were so strong, they'd never been defeated before. Except it turns out that most of them had been defeated all the time, frequently, and learned that they had been experiencing defeat the whole time as a lesson. But anyway, they go there, and then that's when the underground fighting guy goes, "Synchronicity, this is our chance for a big tournament." Except the tournament never happens because instead, Gaki goes chasing this one guy, and this other guy goes chasing this other guy. And then these other people, they couldn't keep this guy in prison, and then it's like, yeah. I mean, there's no story arc to the thing at all. It's a crazy, strange thing.
It really is. Oh my goodness, you look so adorable.
Thanks, darling.
You're welcome.
The Russian guy could climb smooth surfaces because he developed super grip strength, right? So they had the Russian prisoner. They had kept him in Siberia at the bottom of a old missile silo, and him being such a badass. There's a scene later where he uses this incredible grip strength to hold on to a ceiling sprinkler thing in the ceiling, which is incredibly durable. as people pummel him from below, and it takes the amount of force of a bullet train to break that ceiling sprinkler off eventually. He never lets go of it though. That's how strong his grip is.
Wow.
He's so incredible. Then there's the guy who turns into a baby, basically. Okay, so there's this one guy called his name's Dorian, okay, who's like, I guess, kind of a British version of Sean Connery gone bad or something. And after he finally loses, it breaks his mind. And he spends the rest of the show going, "Candy? Can I have candy? Candy?" Because he's reverted to childhood. So then in the tournament in China, one of the surprises, it's always like, and then suddenly, right? And then suddenly Dorian shows up, being led around by Unchained, who puts him into one of the fights in the thing. And you think that once Dorian gets like punched a few times or something, he's going to reveal that even though he's all candy, that he'll show how tough he is. No, he goes out there, and the guy punches him and knocks his piece of candy out of his mouth, and he goes candy, and he gets like the shit beat out of him. And then Unchained comes back out and goes, "Okay, that's enough, Dorian. come back over here with me. Here's your candy." Wait, why did that happen?
Yeah, really.
This former villain who's been defeated is brought to participate in this fighting tournament where he's still just like mentally a little child, and it does him no good at all. It doesn't like wake him up or anything or let him return to himself at all.
It just keeps him as that character.
Yeah. So it's like, what was Unchained trying to accomplish there? It's not clear what Unchained thought if he thought he was doing Dorian a favor, or if I don't think we're supposed to interpret this as, ha ha ha, look at him torturing the fully defeated enemy. I think it's just the ESFP going like, this is showing respect to Dorian's fighter ways, even though he's not that anymore. Anyway, it's got to be the best TV show about fighting made by a 12-year-old boy that I've ever seen, but that makes it probably the worst show that I've ever watched this much of.
Wow, that's impressive.
I mean, it's really quite terrible, but I've watched so much of it already.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I've been there. I've seen them.
So I have run afoul of a problem, which is I've used up all the low-hanging fruit anime wise. I don't have any like excellent series yet that I haven't quite discovered. Mm-hmm. So I'm churning through chum.
Happens.
What's too much glorifying of unrestrained any? The ESFP show that I'm talking about, it's not unrestrained any at all. It's 8th slot any without TI constraining it at all. So it's like the reason ESTPs wouldn't write that show is because the glaring inconsistencies and lack of logic to it would mean that they wouldn't end up writing that, But ESFPs, you get this perfect storm of weak 4th slot NI and polar TI. And that's where you get this thing that it's just Or just you're talking about my consumption of it is any run amok. It's a little bit. I think my consumption of it is a little bit revelatory of the fact that I have some. There's room in my audience self for SE stuff. Like I watch sports. Okay, Doro Hidoro. Delilah recommended that to me too, and I couldn't remember the name of it because then after she recommended that one to me, she recommended this gambling one, which doesn't really look that good.
No,
but it might be okay.
I mean, we'll see.
But I will go. I will watch Doro Hidoro.
Where that's on
That's
Netflix?
on Netflix, I think.
Cool, that'll be fun.
Apparently, there's a live action version of the gambling one, I think, or maybe
she said there is a live one of the gambling, but it's not as good.
Live action animes are strange. I watched a little bit of one on Crunchyroll. I couldn't watch it for long, obviously, but
strange.
Yeah, well, they got this Power Rangers vibe to them, you know.
I never really liked that field of like Japanese.
Yeah, Kakeguru. All right, I'm glad to hear that about Doro Hidoro. I'll check it out. I currently am sort of half-assedly making my way through Bleach from the very beginning, skipping episodes and stuff, jumping around. It's pretty good. I mean, the funny thing, what I realized after watching a mediocre episode of Bleach, after watching a bunch of Gaki, is that Gaki show, it never makes me feel any emotion except laughing at its ridiculousness or kind of like, ooh, wow, he really punched him, you know, like
that's SE,
like that kind of feeling. Because even this mediocre episode of Bleach, which was about okay, well, Leaf Tremor, remember, I wasn't one of those people who typed you as INTP on Reddit chats. So the fact that it might be the case that those Reddit chatters mistakenly used edginess to determine your type. But I would never make that mistake. So there's no reason to conclude that because you are Christian has anything to do with me typing as ISTJ. Not that I have typed you ISTJ. I have said these things that I've seen from you are more consistent with ISTJ than INTP. I've never typed you as anything.
It's incredibly hard to type
via chat.
Yeah.
And I've tried typing people from chat before and then actually talked to them and been dramatically wrong about them. So remember that as well. You should always take with a grain of salt anything I say about people based on their chats.
I have a question.
But no, your religious beliefs have absolutely nothing to do with my typing of you. No. Because I expect, there are Christians of every single type. The only thing that I would ever use to type somebody is possibly how they talk about their beliefs, because how you talk about your beliefs is a very good indicator of type. So how you justify or how you don't justify, how you refuse to justify or attempt to justify. Those are all things that tell us a lot of information about a person. And those habits transcend religion. So in other words, the way I talk about religion is consistent with the way I talked about religion when I was an atheist, even though I'm a Christian now. Those things aren't really inconsistent because I don't allow myself to be irrational in order to incorporate magical thinking. I still have to fit into a meta frame.
So you going into watching an ESFP written show is kind of like me going into an SI written show. Just say like
kind of like you watching Survivor Man. That would be the equivalent.
Okay.
I think. personally, I think Survivor Man is incredibly better media wise than Gaki, but both of them appeal to fundamentally the first two functions. So Survivor Man appeals fundamentally to SITE, and Gaki appeals fundamentally to SEFI. So it's like I feel like the SE part works on me in Gaki, but the FI part doesn't work on me.
Yes.
Probably for you, the SI part works for you with Survivor Man, but the TE part doesn't. So you probably enjoy Survivor Man when he's displaying his gratification at having caught this thing that's eating it. He's like, oh, it's so good. That's probably pleasant for you to watch.
Yes.
But when he's explaining how to do it, you're just like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
That's not. But it's also not like painful.
No.
It's just going past your ears. Like Gaki's version of FI just goes right past my ears. It's like there's an assumption underlying that show that everybody deals with everything based on how strongly they feel about it.
Yeah.
And of course, that whole economy of thinking doesn't apply to me. So it just kind of, it neither bothers me really or appeals to me or works, you know.
That's good.
If you want to see a really great showcase of SE, there's an animated Spider-Man movie on Netflix that is exquisite. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, I've seen that. Haven't we seen that?
I mean, I thought we saw all the Spider-Man movies.
We did. We did.
Is it Multiverse? Or something like that?
Yeah,
Spider-Man
something
into
like
the Multiverse?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was, we did see that and it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
I've got a little bit of a problem here, which is I'm out of cigarettes.
Uh-oh. Well, would you like me to sit in?
Can you hold down the fort while I run to get some cigarettes?
Sure.
Cool. Yeah, Baki feels strongly that he wants to I guess that's a sexual urge. Okay, maybe he does only feel it.
Baki.
Well, he also feels mad at his dad. He feels like his dad's been a bad father without really explaining why at all at any point.
I don't remember. I can't really comment too much on Baki. I just watched it today, but the first introduction to it with the cop going in there and being stunned by everything was quite entertaining.
The other thing about the show, though, is it's clearly written by somebody who thinks other people go around admiring third parties' muscles. Because people in the show are always like, regular people are there to go, oh, look at his muscles. Now they look like this. Oh, his muscles are so big.
Yeah. There is a lot of that muscle stuff and how they get the muscular. Okay, bye. My last comment regarding on how the most hard copy dogmatic Christians surely must be grouped as XSTJ in contrast to more flexible Christians such as Eric. I don't know, Leaf Trimmer. There might be Upton Plates 48. We're talking about Baki, Baki, I believe. That's the way it's spelled, and it's an anime on Netflix. You know, it's interesting, Oliver Linehan. I do know, like, my mom is ESTJ, and she's pretty Christian. I don't know if she like follows up, but she used to go to church. I don't know. They say that yeah, I really don't know. Yeah, when they never explain why his dad's back muscles look like a face of a demon. The entire show started off with that being crucial detail. That's right. I forgot about that. The whole demon aspect. They really don't go into it too much. Yeah, it's on Netflix. No, we always start from Sky Gear. We start from the beginning. We definitely started from the beginning of the show. And I walked in. I walked in on a later episode because Eric had been watching it in the morning and I got up later than him. Is there a lot of ESFP dick energy in that show? Yeah, there is up them plates 48. There is. Eric was just explaining how in the show they kind of like glorify muscles and muscular people who have like very athletic but really muscular physiques, like those what do you call them? Like bodybuilders, like that kind of physique. The cartoon really shows its appreciation for that, and other characters in the anime really appreciate people's muscles too. SE third slot tends to be really into bodybuilders. SE child, I don't know who has SE in the third slot. I've told Eric I like really should start to know the at least the beginning four slots for every type. I tried once before and it was pretty tedious for me. What type is that, Legends Fall? Who has SE in the third slot? You know an ENFJ and ENTJ that are both enamored with bodybuilding? That's interesting. My dad's into bodybuilding. Uh, he tested as an ENFP. I don't know if that's his type. We haven't. He tested himself on online, so I don't know if he is an ENFP or ESFP. See, Winston's mom, it shouldn't have to, but like, it should be easy enough for us to understand. We shouldn't even have to like be questioned why. It should just be like, oh yeah, I can recall that in this episode, so and so said that the back of his back's dad looks like a demon because of this reason. It's very hard to like do that with Baki. I don't know. It probably has more to do with your childhood and circumstances rather than type. I would guess the most likely to join a cult are ESFP followed by ESTP, though. Oliver Lyndon is really interesting because I think, because I myself, as an now that I know that I'm INFJ, I have been duped by people before. Like, I've been duped by nice people who bring me to those like pyramid scheme events, and like they try to like get your money up front so that you can like join like a food club or like a jewelry club or um just like a quick kind of scheme. So I think NFJs can possibly fall victim to that. But like I know I've learned from it. Like I've been in that. I've been in the situation where I've thought it was sketchy before, and I'll use my intuition and I'll back off. I'll be like, no. I'm like, this is not a friendship. This is like business stuff that goes wrong. Like I listen to my intuition when it comes to it. But I do get roped in by nice people. You know, a lot of people come up to me, especially when I'm alone. When I'm with Eric, people don't really come up to me that much. But when I'm alone, a lot of people come up to me and start with conversations. And some of them either I become friends with, and then they get roped into a pyramid scheme thing, or like a cult sort of thing, or just like those people who are in the cult or pyramid scheme will come up to me and be like, hey, you look like a person who is interested in this stuff. And I'll be like, yes, I am. So in the beginning, INFJs, I think, can be...
in the beginning, God created INFJ.
Yeah. And then the INFJ realizes, oh, this is a pyramid scheme. I'm going to dip. You don't want my friendship. So... I don't know the other types, though, that would likely be cult. See, I don't know.
INFJ hears God's plan for the universe and goes, sounds like a pyramid scheme.
Exactly. How was your trip?
My trip was fine. I could see an INFJ waking up to find themselves leading a cult. I think it's more likely for an INFJ to wake up and find themselves leading a cult than to wake up and find themselves being a member of a cult.
I really think that's going to happen with Frank James.
It's like, oh shit, how did I get all these cultists around me?
Yeah.
All I say is vague, esoteric, and I suggestive stuff, and everyone thinks like I'm super wise or something.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
And I try to, and I've already learned the futility of trying to explain this to others. So
I'm gonna go pet pee-pee a little bit.
Sure, you do your thing, darling Parlin.
Be right back.
Is there an anime better than Jojo? What's Jojo? Yeah, I got you some cigarettes too, Winston's mom. You smoke Virginia Slims, right? You're a lady. Ladies are required to smoke Virginia Slims. That's how they know they've made it. You've come a long way, baby. You've come a long way. It used to be smoking was just for men. Oh, I started watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I don't remember why I stopped watching it, really. I got through where he was on a boat and he died, but his pregnant woman was floating away. And it made me go, oh, that's why people don't like it when I did that in that book. And the funny thing is, Geiger, I said that to people at my own thing too. It's like, the thing is, it's the novel I wrote called Gospel of the Pantheon. It starts with the main character Campago, and then jumps ahead a generation, and then jumps ahead a generation. So it's a grandfather, father, and his son's story. But I get the idea that I don't like it as a audience member. So that's true, Erica Butler. Sometimes I get annoyed with the ENFPs, but we can bounce ideas. We can bounce ideas off of each other. Oh, is that what a Jojo does as well? I mean, it's not like Jojo at all in the sense that the main characters, the family that's the main character of my book include it. You might say it sort of goes downhill with the generations as they become more intuitarted. They start off as like ISTJ and then end up as some sort of a kind of, I guess, caricature of an INFJ/INTJ. ESTP dad. Say, son, just going for a shirtless jog around the neighborhood. It's not to show off at all, I swear. Yeah. Oh, JoJo generations end up as Italian gangsters with God mode metaphysical hacks. Which personality types get the most action, quote unquote? Probably ESFPs. Because, you know, basically because they'll fuck anything that moves. You know, I mean, no offense, ESFPs. There's a lot of guys out there that you're their first experience.
Yes, kitty
I'm
power.
quite confident.
Yes,
oh,
kitty power.
what a good door opener you are.
She is, yes.
Kitty Meow is able to open the door by herself as long as it's not closed all the way.
Wow.
If it's closed all the way, she can't turn the doorknob yet. We're still working on that one. I want Kitty to learn to jump up, turn the doorknob, open the door herself, and then close it behind her, ideally.
And let us film it, because that would make a lot of views.
Teach Kitty to do taxes. That'd be great if you get the cat to do your taxes for you. I've got like no taxes to do this year at all because I got no, basically zero declarable income, I guess. I get paid either in cash or PayPal, and my PayPal is not, there's not enough action on PayPal to justify PayPal reporting it to the government. It has to be over a certain number of thousands of dollars, like over 15,000 or something. And mine isn't that high. So thanks for an easy tax year. I wonder if you're gonna have to report stimulus check as taxable income. Wouldn't that be hilarious if they made you include the stimulus check as part of your taxable income?
Oh my gosh. Then we would get money back from.
Then you'd have to pay more in taxes because you got more because you got stimulus.
Oh.
Is there any chance you would live stream the Super Bowl and perhaps Delilah was visiting your father must watch the game so you could finally hang out with us on a stream?
Wow.
The thing is, I've invited him on a number of occasions actually to stream with me, and he's always turned me down, and seems to feel as though I think it's he doesn't feel as though he has enough experience with it to know really what it is.
Yeah.
And his primary experience with it links to Baki. You know?
That's true too.
That's his primary experience with it. Uh so the thing is, I'm glad you brought up the Super Bowl though, because it reminds me of to talk a little bit about the crazy regulation that Pasadena is putting in place, in which so there's already this regulation that forces restaurants, if they're going to do business, to basically set up artificial storefronts outside of their business. So it's like for restaurants that have the parking lot room, they'll convert part of the parking lot into like a tented area with outside space heaters so they can still be in business. Hi, the big dream. Yeah, I know. You're not, you're once again, I'm not going to be like fooled by your silly stuff. So the thing is, of course, ESFPs are extremely persistent. You know, they don't get it. Like that's not gonna work. This keeps happening in that show too, right? Like the same basic message of cool hand Luke is repeated multiple times in the show, where somebody wins because they allow themselves to get beaten to a pulp, but refuse to actually concede defeat, and so they're left in a bloody pool, but claiming victory as their opponent walks away unhurt. This is a frequent reoccurrence in Gaki and in life for ESFPs, where they just simply decide to call whatever they want to call it, and that's just how it is.
Like, it really is.
That guy, that really dumb guy, Ashadeep. You can see that at play with him. You know, doesn't matter. I call by calling things what I'm calling them, and that's it. I mean, yeah, ESFPs are probably the most likely part to live in flat Earth. But you know, Big Dream, I suggest if that's the case, just hang around for a little while. We're naturally suspicious of new people who come in shortly after purportedly new people came in before, which were just turned out to be probably the same ESFP. ESFPs hate me, you know. Well, that's what they all say at first, Big Dream. So we'll see. You'll just have to be okay with the general policy of withholding judgment or having conditional conclusions based on existing data while acknowledging that those conclusions might change. What's ESFP? ESFP is the turd in your soup. ESFP is a personality type that I clash with quite a bit, and I clash with them because they're particularly bad at using words or meanings and thinking and stuff to engage with the world, and because I'm particularly prone to that, you know, causes me to be somewhat contra liking them, I guess, or something. Well, you know what, Big Dream, that's common. Confusion is really common because here's the thing that people don't know. Rachel actually has all of Psyduck's powers. And so she causes a lot of confusion.
I do. How did you know?
Well, I've been confused about it ever since we started going out, but I finally figured it out. Your confusion spell finally wore off. Now I get it. You're Psyduck.
I didn't mean for it to show. Hello, Lauren Cuthbert. Hey, Broccoli Todd.
Yes, Broccoli Todd. I agree. That person is a spider monkey. And see, this is the thing. The area that spite monkeys like to try to exploit is the fact that by a general rule, we have to offer some affordance that an individual is a legitimately new person, even when we know better. Because every once in a while, we're going to make, it's better to let five innocent people, it's better to let five guilty people go free than it is to convict one innocent person. So that basic principle means that there's always going to be one initial gap for them to exploit. So let's say you're somebody like Ashadeep, right, or Cloud or whatever. You're going to come in and exploit that one gap that's necessarily always got to stay there, which is we do want to make it possible to welcome new people, and that means we can't be incredibly aggressive towards everybody who comes in who's new on the presumption that they're an existing spite monkey. But that's as far as they get. They're not capable of fooling any of us. Like the big dream. This is, you're just like a Gaki thing, right? So the big dream comes in pretending to be something he's not. Everybody calls him on it. Then he says, "I'm not really what I said I was. Aha, I win." And there we go. Nobody believed you. So big dream, you're a textbook ESFP. That's a textbook ESFP move right there. Regardless, you might be just doing it for fun. That's fine. Oh yeah, that's what ESFP say. I'm just joking. My words don't mean anything either. Oh, I know. Oh, I know you're harmless, big guy. There's no way anybody can come in and harm me, really. It's just a matter of whether or not I ban you or not. I'm not overly quick with the ban hand. It's just that I am subject to an unusual amount of hatred, I think. Like an unusually virulent strain of hatred. The strain of COVID that I've got is actually kind of deadly, but I've got a very strong immune system, so I'm not worried about it. Well, big dream, if you don't stir the pot, the bottom stuff on the bottom gets burned. So I'm glad you came here to stir it. You saved us from a burned pot of beans.
Thank you for your advice.
ESFP dad's 24/7. Son, I almost won the lottery last night. Can you open the door for Kate?
Oh, sure. I didn't even see her. I'm sorry. Sorry, Pee-Pee.
Right. I get a lot of hatred for someone who only has 20 people watching at a time. That's the thing. It's not that I get a lot of hatred in terms of raw numbers. Yes. If you've got a million subs, you get a lot more total on balance hatred than I do. It's just I get such persistent and concentrated hatred from what I suspect is probably no more than five different people at most. It's just I know there's a few different ones. There's a few different styles I've noted. I'd say there's about 4 or 5 from what I can tell. And like this I would guess is probably Cloud. Based on the writing style. If it were Ashadeep, it probably is more like just sort of random attacking me. Probably there's one person out there who focuses specifically on the fact that they used to be a tweaker. Another one who specifically focuses on the fact that I live at home I live at my parents' house because I moved back here. So I think those are different people. I think there's at least 4 different people.
around.
Then there are people who just happen to come by and and just immediately have their hackles raised by me. I've been told by many people, or at least I have been told by multiple people, but I was told by one person many times that I make a bad first impression. And that would be my ESFJ ex-wife. She used to tell me all the time that I make a terrible first impression. Of course, depending if I'm live streaming and you come in here, depending on the moment you come in here, you can get a variety of stuff, right? Like you might get a stretch of it of me being just super silly and making jokes. You might get a stretch of it where it's more NI, like me talking about this show and how ridiculous it is. You might get a stretch of me doing politics stuff in which I'm basically trying to voice, reasonableness without getting angry. You could come in and find me in the middle of some battle with a troll who's just trying to be provocative and think, wow, this guy's an angry guy. You could come in when I'm playing songs and assume that's what I do all the time. You could come in when I'm explaining cognitive functions in a super TI way and be like, this guy's super boring. Or you catch me on a good day when I'm talking about it more into an eye level and maybe go, oh, this is kind of making sense. It really depends on your type as well, So I was reflecting earlier how my childhood best friend was an ISFP for all through elementary school, middle school, and high school. And then how we never really kept up on a relationship at all. Neither of us did. So there's something interesting about the ISFP ENTP relationship. And it's like, I think ISFPs and ENTPs can really enjoy each other's company, but there doesn't seem to be any real attachment there between the two. It's weird for an FI Dom, John Murphy, what's going on here? It's too much to explain. There's so much going on here that if I were to explain, it would take me
Inside, outside, kitty.
It would take me more time to explain what's going on here than it's taken to actually have those ons going for the last hour. Would I like to talk to your INTP flatmate V? Not right now. Thanks. It's Smokey the Bear. Telling us to keep it green. Well, Smokey, I will keep it green. I'm going to follow your advice.
Ooh, I'd like to.
Would you like to keep it green as well?
Yes, please. You can top me off.
Now, let's not lie. This isn't really that green. It's kind of tannish almost, with a little bit of green and orange, but we'll call it green just as a shorthand term. It's good weed, I gotta tell you. This cherry pie is on the someone posted this link in a gaming Discord server with no context. That's cool.
That is cool.
I mean, I have done some gaming live streams before, but I live stream like this basically. I chat with the people who are here and read what they say and respond to it mostly.
This is really good. And sweet.
Yeah, this cherry pie. So it's not even second shelf, it's third shelf. But it's 55 for, well, we got 10 grams for 90 on this last time we went to the weed store. And that's $9 a gram's not bad. And it's like you just break off a teeny little piece of it and I can't even pull the bowl still. Mm-hmm. It's so dense.
Yeah, I like that.
What's the story behind my username? Well, Oliver Linehan, I like your taxonomy a lot.
Me too.
Um, it was actually, I guess, the the channel name originated in a freestyle skit that I ended up editing and making a little cartoon out of, in which I pretended to interview a couple of sort of characters that I generated named uh, the International Delight and Pucker Tart Lemon Squeeze. And in that freestyle little skit, I named the show on which I was interviewing them Talking with Famous People. And I thought it was a funny name. So I decided to make it a name for this channel. And in fact, for a stretch of time, I did a fair amount of interviews as well, or I interviewed people. But the idea was I wasn't interviewing actually famous people. It was sort of trying to seize the frame on that term. Like pretending to be famous is the same as being famous, kind of. And then that sort of evolved into this notion of well, you're a famous person once you've been here and talked with me. Until then, you're just a celebrity. So like I've never spoken to George Clooney. So he's a celebrity, but he's not a famous person. So that's basically where it's at now, is that you qualify officially as a famous person right now, but you didn't prior to talking to me.
Yeah.
So I used to. No, I'm not into MBTI at all, actually. I like to have a good understanding of how people pay attention to each other in different ways and pay attention to things in different ways. So it's not so much about MBTI at all, really. Not anything about MBTI, but it's about epistemology. This channel started more out as a philosophy channel than anything else. Originally, though, my first videos were Eric's philosophy talk videos, which were just me sort of rambling my thoughts on sort of making video notes for a philosophy book and stuff. Yeah, I know all over line here. I don't mind it when somebody comes in and sets me up with softballs that I'm interested in answering, even if they're just playing t-ball. Okay, bye, John Murphy. John Murphy's got really thin skin. He's very offended by the fact that people think he's a troll. See you later.
Bye.
Or not. Yeah, the textbook troll move. I stumbled upon your stream by way of sheer serendipity. Now, may I tell you that you deserve divine punishment due to your unholy shenanigans?
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
Right. Well, the thing is, of course, as I was saying before, we have to be careful with our SI driven conclusions. So it's true that John Murphy showed up right after the Big Dream left, and it's also true that he stole it from you. He stole John Murphy from you. Oh yeah, no, I did see that. I saw that you mentioned the idea first of him of every troll comes in with the same thing. I saw that. Fair enough. I get your point. I'd say he was riffing off of it, but that's fine.
You want to go out?
Yeah, you were riffing off of it. Tactical continuation and riffing. Tactical continuation is the INTP way of saying riffing. Is there a more comprehensive timeline or collection of lore topic for a video? I need to make a new what's it called? Retrospective video. I know. Credit for your tenacity. Well, that's textbook ESFP. Mike Jones, are you really accusing me of being an incel? Cloud, come on. You can do better than that. Yeah, we've confirmed 100% that Mike Jones is Cloud. I want to read Oliver Linehand's Taxonomy. 4 types of spite monkeys. 1, the great knowers, Jeff Shaw. I wouldn't call him a spite monkey. I wouldn't call Jeff Shaw a spite monkey. I'd call him, or I'd say four types of difficult people, okay, or something like that. Then, because I do think Jeff Shaw deserves to be in this list, but I wouldn't call him a spite monkey. They're the great knowers. That's Jeff Shaw type of thing. The provocateurs, Discord. The aspiring cult leaders, Cloud. Slaves to hatred. So those are the spite monkeys, right? I don't, the thing is, provocateurs can become spite monkeys, but and are likely to become spite monkeys, but don't necessarily become spite monkeys. Well, Cloud's not necessarily trying to hide the fact that he's Cloud. Like when he came in under the name Sky Snow, he's not. If he thinks, I'm assuming he realizes people are going to know that he's Cloud, right? %20 of my subs are Cloud. Oh, hi, Darren Hansen. You are here to engage in discourse. Well, there's a real person. Totally not Cloud. Totally not Cloud is too clever for Cloud. Although now that he's heard it, he might very well steal it. You're also an aspiring cult leader. You're going to tell all your minions to make you cakes. Are they going to be rum cakes, Seamus the Drunk? Or else I'll have no cakes.
You're so wise.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm pretty sure Skygear and Leaf Trimmer are not Cloud. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Outer Self, I'm reasonably sure is not Cloud. Lauren Cuthbert, I'm having no doubts about. She could easily be Cloud. Seamus the Drunk could also be Cloud. Cloud could also be Cloud. No, he doesn't, Legends Fall. As indicated by the show Gaki. Because ESFPs think that if you get beaten to a bloody pulp and refuse to leave the fighting ground, then you won. Even if your opponent walks away unharmed. So my list of most likely candidates to be Cloud. Number 1, Winston's mom. Number 2, Legends Fall. Likely Cloud candidates. Number 3, Seamus. Number 4, Leaf Trimmer. Number 5, Lauren Cuthbert. Number 6, Sky Gear. All of those likely Cloud candidates. People least likely to be Cloud. Darren Henson, Cloud. It just wouldn't be fun, Horseman War. That's the thing. Whenever I troll, I troll as myself. It would never occur to me to try to troll by lying. You know, lying is the it renders your trolling into just deception, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, I already did time him out, but I won't time him out until he does something. It's fine. Okay. I believe, Cloud, that you love us all. I do. Otherwise, you wouldn't always still try to be here. Mm-hmm. So I believe you. But I don't care about you that much. So, yeah. You know?
I'd say that you actually said that
today. Yeah. I told Rachel and I were actually talking about you earlier today. And you know what I said is, I said, it's weird. I actually don't feel bad for Cloud at all. Normally, when somebody says to me, don't you feel kind of bad for Cloud? Replace Cloud with something else. I say, yeah, I do feel bad. After I think about it for a bit, almost every time, if you put someone's name there, I don't feel bad for you. I don't know why. I think it's because, I think I do know why. I explained it to Rachel also. I think it's because you still are trying to win. I keep telling you, this isn't a competition. But there's no other way for you to meaningfully engage. Or no other way that you have, at least before, attempted to meaningfully engage, really. If you're trying to talk about ideas, it just doesn't work. You know, people say, but what about me? Yeah, people TI you and you don't like it. And you get mad and you start provoking. It's not stupidity. It's TI Polar with FI Tool and SE Dom, you know? Right. But you still have to come in fundamentally misrepresenting yourself as somebody not horse mumbler, right? SI4. Meow, meow, meow. What's well, Legends Fall says it's not as bad TI as it's bad FE. I mean, Sunflower Nova, that has been speculated by plenty of times before. Hey, did I see your previous messages? No, Rick Gurley, I didn't see your previous messages. I speculated, that was the first one to speculate that. When he first came in, I thought he must be an ENTP who's pretending to be an ESFP because nobody's seriously like this all the time. Nope, they're seriously like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
ESFP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how dominant and I usually feel like a floating head? So they often feel like that when they're deeply concentrated or something, or they just feel like that. I've never heard that said before, particularly. Um, that and I usually feel like a floating head. I mean, I have heard it said before that being an intuitive means being stuck in your head a lot. That was your message. What are you doing now, Kitty? God.
It's just because.
She wants to go inside the house.
Yeah, and I don't blame her. It's like she wants the door open so that she can go in and out, but it's chilly outside.
No, I don't want to join you in autonomy right now, David Sanderson. I'm probably going to wrap this up pretty soon. Because I'm tired. Oh, your name disappears sometimes. So, what was your question, Rick Gurley? What was your question? Was it that floating head one? Oh no, it was. I don't see any other messages. I don't know. When's the next typing session? Tomorrow. Oh, I see. That was your question. So you're John Kramer. I got you. I feel so scattered right now. I'm reading too many chats, which means I've got too many things that I want to respond to all at once, and then my brain collapses. So anyway, being stuck in your head means you're likely to do stuff like I did last night, which is be thinking about whatever you're thinking about in your head, and then get the food out of the microwave to stir it, and be so lost in your head that you don't pay enough attention to pulling it out of the microwave, such that you spill some of it, and um, New adverse says I haven't seen so much spam in here. Or what did you do? Or I made the video title "What Happens when ESFP Writes a Show." I guess. So the thing is, it doesn't feel like a trap to me, like Joe. It's interesting you say that because you and I are both showing our fifth slot, I suspect, in that I tend to view NI. I tend to be suspicious of NI things as potential traps, right? Like what looks like the clear right way could be a trap. What you're saying is don't spend too much time looking around at the possible ways. That's a trap. Now we're both right, but I'm much more susceptible to the trap that you describe, and you're susceptible to the trap that I describe, and and yet I don't view it as a trap, and you don't view it as a trap. So it's like, it's a weird kind of
Yes, can you imagine winner?
value confluence. As pure as the Salton Sea is a great expression. Because you know why, right? I'll tell you. The Salton Sea is not pure at all. The Salton Sea is one of the most polluted bodies of water in the world. Unfortunately, it can no longer sustain any life. But if we were to implement my great plan to save the Salton Sea, we would save the Salton Sea. John Kramer. I genuinely love this. This happens. That makes me so happy when someone says, "Oh my God, I just realized Lijo's here." It's like I don't actually feel at all this way about it. But if you, for an analogy, let's say that like Brad Pitt invited you over to his house, and then you go, "Oh my God, Leonardo DiCaprio's here." Obviously, I'm not nearly as successful as Lijo, right? So you're like, no, it's like my friend Steve invited me over and Leonardo DiCaprio was there, right? But I tend to think of Lijo as somebody who started talking about cognitive functions sometime around the same time I did, or I don't know, a while back, a long time. She's been around for a long time, You're a spider monkey, far-reaching and underestimated strength. I mean, no, you have approximately the amount of impact you would expect to have, I'd imagine, which is, well, if you make a lot of effort to be heard and you're saying stuff that's provocative, people will talk about you. So let me get this straight, Dunk Best CB. Your supervillain plan to destroy the world involves gradually accumulating salinity via agricultural runoff? Huh. That seems like a strangely slow plan for a grand villain like Thanos. So here's my plan to destroy the world. Slowly, ever so slowly, over the course of decades. I'll cause agricultural runoff to increase the salinity of freshwater bodies like lakes, while concurrently diverting the incoming streams into those lakes. So those lakes become eventually too salty to support life. That's a supervillain plan nobody can get behind. I'm not typing to anybody. Well, thank you, Seamus. Thank you for praising my acting skills. Acting. Thank you.
You are a good actor.
Thanos' use of TI was so ridiculous, the justification of mass depopulation. I mean, that wasn't what I would call TI. His justification was that there's a lot of death and suffering because there's too much life. But the thing that's causing the death and suffering is death and suffering, right? It's like, in other words, he's claiming that by causing all the death and suffering now, he's eliminating all the death and suffering. It doesn't make any sense. Wait. Like the time Les Trav was telling a story about the time in Mongolia when, oh my, Steven Seagal is here too, and then Steven Seagal was there too. I don't know. I don't know what. I'm not sure what that's referencing, but it makes me laugh. Yeah, you're imagining the guy shaking a salt shaker in the middle of a field and laughing maniacally. How would you approach typing someone who's polluted waters, watched all your streams, has taken all your tests, and has preconceived notion of their type? How they go about understanding everything they've seen and read and heard will tell me everything I need to know about them. So the best thing I would do would be to start asking them questions. Oh, you watched, so you're really, really studied. Well, let me quiz you then, basically, and we'll find out what type you are easy. You know, because that's gonna tell me if you allow me to access your end result in thoroughly of no, but allow me to access where I know the data you've consumed and get to look at the pooped out, I'll be pretty good at telling you what type you are, I think. Because it's my own shit that you know, right? So it's like that really plays into my fourth slot SI front stack and links well with NI in this context. So I think it would probably be helpful if somebody really knew everything and I could just say, okay, well, how did you interpret this thing? What did you make of this idea? What do you think about this? What do you think I meant when I said this? Through what frame of reference did you evaluate these notions, etc.? Stuff like that. Those would be good questions to ask at that point. Steven Seagal visited us at a special ops. He was taken up on a flight where he displayed fear. This disappointed everyone, and a memo was circulated. We should avoid spreading his dishonor. He displayed fear. I mean, why would one expect Steven Seagal to not display fear? I mean, what does display fear mean? Was he like crinkling in a corner, going, "Oh my God, I'm so scared! Please land the thing! Please land the thing!" Or was he going like, "Oh shit, yeah, this is scary"? There's a big difference, right? I don't know. Maybe he was doing the former, in which case, I guess the army is like, okay, let's not tell everybody about this. Let's not drag the guy through the mud. To find TI, you have 10 seconds. I have 10 seconds to find TI. Oh no, I better rush. I only have 10 seconds. If I don't define it within 10 seconds, then, well, David Sanderson gets to decide how I define it, I guess. Define TI. TI is a disinterested calculus when applied by an agent as a process to evaluate the legitimacy of something. Yeah, so it is possible to somewhat framework me with the well, of course you have to friend zone your flatmate. You don't want to sleep with your flatmate. Then they're your boyfriend all of a sudden. Then they're your living boyfriend. As soon as you sleep with your flatmate, eventually they're going to discover curves in England. It's going to be a whole new ballgame. Anyway, if you sleep with your flatmate, then you are suddenly no longer have a flatmate. You have a boyfriend with whom you live. What is your analogy of each function? What is my analogy of each function? I have that question doesn't mean anything. What if you flat with your sleepmate? Good question. Rachel and I, can we flat later and see what turns out?
What does that mean?
Well, Lauren Cuthbert was informing us that she, quote, had to friend zone her flatmate, meaning she didn't sleep with her flatmate.
Yes.
Which is wise because I explained that if you sleep with your flatmate, they become all of a sudden you're living with your boyfriend basically.
Yes.
Instead of there being any transition normally through that process. So the question naturally arose: what if you flat with your sleepmate? You're my sleepmate.
I am.
So we should try flatting later.
Don't we sleep in separate rooms?
Yeah, again, you need to talk Tommy, Lest, Mate, Mike, Jesus Christ, T is smart in TI terms. Oh, the guy you friend zone? I talked to him about that. So, you wanted to fuck Lauren, didn't you? Well, she's told on you, Mike. Is he there right now? If he's there right now, I'll talk to him. Holy sweet mother of Jesus Christ, our Lord in heaven. Lauren Cuthbert, are you using the Lord's name in vain? Quartering partners are like the earth in terms of the amount of curvature they possess, which is kind of a lot depending on where you're looking at it from, but kind of not very much depending on where you are on it, or not depending on where you are on it, but if you are on it. So what would you make an analogy for each distinct cognitive function? Oh, thank you for the example. See, that makes clear what Skygear wants there, right? I wouldn't probably make an analogy for each distinct cognitive function, but if I were going to attempt to, I guess I would say, and he is like a roaring tiger that jumps on everything and rawr! You know, and TI is like a super sharp sword that just stabs everything. Effie is a beautiful hat with a great big feather out of it. Like that? I think you really wanted metaphors. You didn't want analogies. You wanted similes.
And I do want a flat.
Okay. Flatting is a good verb for sleeping. I'm going to flat. It's really... Oh, we'll flat together.
Yeah.
Because, see, flatting is a... flatting is a good term because it does say what you're doing. You're lying horizontally. You're being flat. And it doesn't claim what you're not necessarily doing, which is sleeping. I'm not sleeping the whole time I'm flatting, but I am flatting the whole time I'm sleeping. Unless I'm sleeping sitting up in a chair, which almost never happens. I have to be traveling on a long voyage for that to happen. Yeah. Are you going to bed?
No, I'm going to sit
you're going to sit next to me. Okay, cool. I'm going to stand up now.
Oh, cool. So
smoke a cigarette. You go flat. Once you go flat, you never go back. Why, Joe? I got to tell you, that doesn't rhyme. Okay, flat and back don't rhyme. So, can't be true. Things that don't rhyme cannot be true. I think Rachel and I agreed on that a few days ago. For the world, right?
Yeah.
Things that don't rhyme can't be true.
Yes.
Wait a second, Eric. You just violated your own blue. See, the rhyme was waiting for you.
Oh.
rhyme enough. Nothing can ever rhyme enough, Lijo. The only thing that rhymes enough with flat is flat.
This is from a man who knows words.
Yeah. Okay, you could change the first letter and have it still rhyme. Blat, for example, is fine.
Blat is fine?
Blat.
Blat.
Blat rhymes with flat.
And you can use blat is fine? Is that...
That's a rhyme. As a rhyme,
It's a
fine.
rhyme. Okay, as a rhyme, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a word, but it does rhyme.
Okay, yes, it does.
It rhymes better than back.
Yes.
So she should have said, once you've gone flat, you never go blat. Right. Form before function, Lijo. Form before function.
Form before function. Rat. A flat rat went splat, so it could never run back. Tragic.
That is tragic.
It really is.
Well, Winston's mom, what I would suggest is she used allusion successfully. She alluded to another expression in a way that was referential by splitting the difference rhyme-wise, as well as by, linking to the form in all other aspects. TE is the logic of accomplishing the goal. TI is fidelity to accuracy without consideration for the goal. Like, that doesn't make sense even if it accomplishes the outcome. Rhymed enough is TE logic.
Morale. Oh, and my kitty loves my bag. Oh. I love our kitty so much. I forgot you were here, people.
Right. And then I end up shaking my head and walking away and just like in Gaki, right? And they're behind me, they're in a bloody pool on the ground going, "Come at me." Like Muhammad Ali's son in Gaki. This is what happened. He got ass whooped by this other dude. But he never gave up, right? So even after his bones are broken and his face has been pummeled into a wall a bunch of times, and he's all bloody and can't hardly move, he still has just enough energy to go, "Come at me." And the other guy goes, "Shh," and walks away. And Muhammad Ali's son goes, "I won!" Not literally, but that's basically the gist of it, right? So eventually you don't, sometimes nothing's a pretty cool hand, but when you always have nothing and always think it's the best hand, no. It can't possibly be a winning proposition, right?
Yeah,
no. Yeah, I'll talk to him in a second. I got poo right now, though.
Hey, Connor McGregor. I heard you lost to someone who lost to you in 2014. It happens.
Did you listen to the Albanian guy with the funny hat?
You're the funniest guy I know.
Thanks, darling.
You're welcome. I'm so lucky.
All right, I gotta go poo.
Oh, okay. I'm in charge. Who? Oliver Linehan, he doesn't hide his poos from you guys. Klaus being super careful not to give himself away by only saying hi and nothing else. That's funny. Legends Fall. I feel like Legends Fall, you're the one who said that. Oh yeah, I told you. Did I tell you that, like, when I hear your name, it makes me think of Legends of the Fall and of Anthony Hopkins, like the dad, like you being like the dad in Legends Ball, like that's what I like think of. Show us your wily blue-haired linebacker. I don't know. My hair is here and it's on my head and it's shown on screen. So. Hey Lauren, what's up? How's things by you? Thanks, Lejo. Yeah, MBI twin. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, Oliver Linehand. I'm not sure who that is. Sorry, Sky Gear. I didn't mean to take away the entertainment. I should have been more aware. You were washing your dishes, you had to dry them. Leaf Truman, did you know that actually using the dishwasher is please think of the Tristan character instead. Okay, definitely. You are totally the Tristan character in Legends of the Fall. Totally. Hey Zandy, how's it going? It's good to see you. Oh, that's nice, Lauren Cuthbert. I like to think of myself as sisterly. Yeah. MBTI sisters. There's another INFJ Running Fox who's on here as well. She comes up every once in a while. She gets, she understands TE and NI. That coward waited for Eric to leave to start slinging insults. What a POS. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not exactly sure why. It's the person who calls me a linebacker. There's a person who comes into this chat sometimes who likes to call me a linebacker. And I said that I'd be the sexiest linebacker he'd ever see. And sure, I'll do the lingerie bowl. Yeah, you didn't miss. Eric is just pooping right now. And yeah. Winston's mom says, for most men are aware that what is in the power of magicians to accomplish, that the heart can also accomplish by dint of love and bravery. Joseph Bedier, The Romance of Tristan and Isolde. It's funny, Winston's mom, today I have an app on my phone and you can pick a tarot card for every day. And I got the Magician for today. So I really like that quote. I had a roommate who was in love with the Romance of Tristan and Isolde, but I honestly don't know about it. Oh, dishwashers. Using a dishwasher is actually better for the environment. I got these cards. Hold on, I'll show you. From my sister for my birthday. I got these cards. 100 Ways to Save the Planet. And one of the cards said that hand washing actually uses more water, and it's more efficient to use a dishwasher, especially if it's eco-safe. Thought it was interesting. Here, let's see. This one, 3 came up right now. Okay, first one. Support fair trade. Support fair trade. Looking for the logo on items will help you to support fair trade and working conditions for farmers as well as eco-friendly practices. Minimize your environmental footprint. Number 52. Next one, hotels. Next time you are staying in a hotel, ask them not to change your towels and sheets every day. This can help to cut back on water usage. Number 53. I honestly, that's pretty good info right there. And then the last one is sea salt. Use sea salt instead of ground table salt. Table salt is mined from underground salt deposits, whereas sea salt is made from evaporated seawater, so there's much less processing involved. Number 70. So this is pretty cool info.
Is that deck designed to tell you what you're supposed to rub on your genitals?
No, but your deck can.
Good. I was afraid that it was recommending you rub sea salt on your genitals. I was going to suggest that was probably a bad idea.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I was thinking about 2 things while I was pooing that I want to talk about. One thing is I want to talk about how the expression Goldilocks and the 3 Burrs explains stuff about cognitive functions. And then the other, I wish you could too, Zandy. Welcome. Nice to see you. I'm glad to see you're here.
You look so pretty in your icon. I love your makeup.
Albanians all around the world. I'm pretty sure they're mostly all in one place.
Oh, sorry.
So the electric dishwasher is a marvel of efficiency. The design hasn't changed in 100 years. Interesting.
Oh, really, Legends Fall? So then I was on Discord talking to someone else about Legends of the Fall, and I was mixing it up with you. I didn't know that. So is that like a movie that you really enjoy? And if you want to be like Tristan, go do your Tristan thing. Yes, he was beautiful inside and out and tortured. Exactly, Winston's mom.
All because I teased them for their hats, I guess. And not even knowing I was teasing Albania, right? I just thought I was making fun of a funny hat.
It is a funny hat.
I didn't know it was some sort of like national symbol or whatever.
I told Eric it's like comparative to like a funny flag. Like some flags are just funnier than others. Some hats are just funnier.
Yeah, when I become president, I will apologize to Albania. Okay, at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At that point, I have a good reason to apologize to Albania.
Yes,
because then I'm representing the country. I got to put the country's interests before my own, and at that point, I will apologize to Albania.
That's
and
totally
Albanians everywhere, and I'll take down the video. Okay, once I become president, if it becomes a big campaign issue, then I will do it then during the campaign. It's a fair a fair request of a presidential candidate.
Yeah, that is
that they not be on bad terms with Albania. So I will, if and when it becomes a significant enough issue, then I will concede on the point. Okay. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just start wearing one of those hats. I think I can really pull off that hat.
You actually are really good. Imagine how tall you look. You look so tall.
The thing is, I really want the hat to match my skin tone.
So you
or to be like a slightly darker purplier version of my skin tone, where it really looks like the head of a penis.
Oh my god, that'd be so great.
Yeah, I did get my my website. I got Eric Strauss for president renewed, and I plan to start that process here in February, as I've indicated all along. So I feel like I'm sort of metaphysically ready. Uh, I went through a period of fretting about it. Well, like I said, uh, before early February. I mean, there's no huge rush. We're talking about 2024. People aren't going to be paying attention to 2024 candidates really quite right off the bat. Although I want to start laying the groundwork right off the bat, but I do also understand the importance of getting shit done and moving on to the next step. There's an ordinality here. You can't move on to the next step till you get steps done. So it's important to get rolling. But I don't feel an urgency, but also I don't feel an urgency to rush anything. But also I don't feel what's that word I'm looking for? It means like intimidated by the scope of the thing. I feel like I'm ready to start rolling. I accept what's involved. It's not beyond my ability to devote myself to, and so forth.
I might be a little bit slower to process that stuff, but
Well, yeah,
I support you.
And like I said, it's not going to be a sudden dramatic like shift gears. One day we're nothing, next day we're at highway speed. First things first, I'm going to start by getting a haircut, stuff like that. I'm going to stay. I'll try to stay on top of that stuff throughout the next few years as best I can, and set up a YouTube channel to go specifically with the campaign. This popped out when she was talking about it. Shaman of Swords. What's Shaman again? Rachel, are there many cards in your Save the Planet deck that sound like this doesn't make sense or that sounds funny?
Zandy, there's 100 Save the Planet ideas. Oh, that's pretty nice.
Six of Swords of wait, no,
The
lovers.
Lovers.
Oh, six of this is not of anything. It's just number six. Right?
Mm-hmm, that's a major arcana. The Lovers, and this is the King of Swords.
Yeah. The thing is, of course, yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of wardrobing as well. And the nice thing is, people are very accustomed to the idea of somebody operating remotely now. So there's a lot less requirement for a person to have a legitimate candidacy in 2024 than there ever has been before in terms of investment in things like travel, venues, and stuff like that. To be a legitimate candidate in 2024, I could potentially gain that legitimacy before the bulk of the campaigning begins in earnest for the primaries and stuff. That at that point, the normal barrier between that allows you to have enough sort of name recognition to draw a crowd before you have the financial capacity to sustain like a tour across the country talking to groups of people in other words, it's things are set up pretty well. Actually, things are set up surprisingly well. I have good feelings about it. It seems surmountable. That's the word I was looking for. Really, I don't think that was the word I was actually looking for, but I should. That was the word I should have been looking for. It seems surmountable.
Zandy, with the 100 cards, 100 ways to save the planet. There's not. I don't think of any of them as like funny. I think of them as making me feel guilty. like, like I look at it and I'm like, oh, damn. I throw like out my clothes, or you know, I'll throw plastics and not recycle, that sort of stuff.
What types do you think are most common or dominant in the film, TV, screenwriting business? Probably NFPs, NFJs, and NTPs. LSI. Oh, I see. ISTP. Um, you could still do it potentially. Uh, the thing is, extrovert intuition is actually easy to delegate. So if you have anybody, like you could come here at any time and say, I want to write a story about and I've got this idea and this idea. Maybe you've got like just a couple of basic ideas, or you envision a couple of characters, but I need a key point of plot conflict. Can you guys give me some ideas? And people will hear we just throw out a shit ton of them, including me, and you just pick one and go with that. And you write that with your NI, and it'll just sort of be the leanest version of itself. And you can continually do that. And it's easy to delegate, but the problem I've seen for ISFPs and ISTPs is it's because they're polar. It's one of those things they sort of always forget that they can easily delegate that. And it doesn't occur to them really to say, I want to write a story. It sounds strange to say, like, I want to write a story, but I don't have any ideas. But it's actually an easy problem to overcome. you just pick the one you think sounds best out of a succession of people presenting you a bunch of possibilities, and then you just go with that, and you've got this probably very lean and well constructed type. So let's see here. Campaigning sounds exhausting with all so much travel and unknown toilets and hand touching. Campaigning sounds like, to me, the thing that bothers me about the prospect I'm realizing that I'm not going to really need to do physical campaigning right away anyway because of COVID. For sure, I'm not going to be able to really. Is one of the key things that have made me go from kind of a sense of dread at the huge obligation here into a reality of acceptance of a duty concurrent with surmountability. So the thing that bothers me about campaigning is the TE aspect of it. It sounds like, how am I possibly going to set all this shit up? You know, like, how am I gonna figure out who to call? I have to call these people and try. It's like it takes a lot of TE SE. Hell yeah, we do. Lauren Cuthbert. Hell yeah, of course.
What?
Now note that this channel is a distinct operation from the presidential
definitely.
campaign. So if you're talking about promoting the presidential campaign, wait a little bit, because let me get the YouTube channel for that set up. It's not going to be linked to this.
But definitely the channel for sure.
Now, if you want to,
that'd be great.
If you want to link to the channel, it'd be fantastic. It's weird. I don't know exactly how many. I'd be curious to see a percentage that says, here's how many truly genuine new people come around, and here's the percentage of them that stick around for at least more than 3 occasions they've come back or whatever.
That counts.
that would be an interesting number to know. I suspect it would be very low. So, in other words, I think the percentage of people that stick around tend to stick around for a lot of the content. So, in other words, once people attend a live stream regularly, they tend to attend a fairly high frequency of the live streams for a fairly long time. But I think the percentage of people who actually are initially enough taken by this to subscribe, come back, and repeat the experience is fairly low. Just because I think it's most people aren't both intuitive and rational. So if you kind of got to be one of those two uh, to to be interested potentially. So that eliminates almost all of your STJs, almost all of your SFPs. It eliminates almost. I mean, it'll eliminate all of those. But basically, what I'm saying is, it means you're going to get almost 0% of those people. You might pick up one or two, but you're going to get almost 0% of them that stick around for a long term and find that this is genuinely positively rewarding in a way that makes it worthwhile for them to keep coming back and hanging out, you know? But this is Laura Cuthbert. You're a wonderful human being as well if you work your magic, because I would like to think that, but that's just I have a lot of history here telling me that I I'm I'm a I'm a shower, not a grower. I couldn't think of any other possible analogy. It's like, you know, all ESFJ signs. Homelessness is bad. Live, laugh, love is important.
Live, laugh, love is very important.
But you know what Seamus has forgotten, don't you?
What?
Learn.
That is one that we all need to keep in mind.
Learn.
Learn.
It's not enough to live, laugh, and love.
Yeah.
Seamus, you also need to learn. Learn with your heart, okay? One thing I would appreciate from Eric is an actual comprehensive post that details his information element or functions epistemology. I mean, there's quite a bit of content that goes into it in various degrees. What a lot of people want, what I kind of want too, is a single comprehensive set that says this is where we're at right now. And I agree that that's what would be nice. There is, however, a quick reference guide that I can share with you. Some documents I can share with you. You know, the quick reference guide is the most up-to-date thing, I guess. I don't want to get it right now.
Would you like some more coffee?
Yeah, I don't want to get it right now because I thought, did I change that thing? I don't know if I changed that. I don't want to give it to him if it's not up to date all the way yet or something. Yeah, or did I need to change that thing? In other words, do I have aspects in there which I have eventually come to accept are subsumed by the agent object subject perspective? I mean, the thing to remember is basically it works like the internet. Okay? So you got, with the internet, you're trying to simulate all the fluidity and high resolution of a real environment. You're sacrificing almost all of the fluidity and actuality of a real environment, but keeping the pieces of it that people use most. So the audio and the visual. In other words, for this to work out properly, the internet has to simulate the way I appear and also the way that I sound, and have that simulation be equivalent, like this, like it sounds like me, right? And that they match up in time. So I've got this camera doing the video, but I've got this mic doing the audio, and nevertheless they match up in time. So it's like that's kind of hard to do. But what does the internet not provide you? It doesn't provide you any smell data, temperature data, feel of the couch data, the smell of my cigarettes. I guess I said smell already. Thank you, Rachel, my beloved darling. Look at that, Rachel got me a cup of coffee. Winston's mom suggests the following as an NE test. Tell us about the marriage between a can of butane gas and a cup of coffee. Okay? Tell us, Lijo. That's what Winston's mom wants to know.
What Winston's mom wants to know.
What Winston's mom wants to know is a good name for our daily column, right?
Isn't it? We can do it every day.
I want to know today what would happen if you put 6 blind dogs in a sack and threw it into the middle of a convention full of deaf people. Would they all become hearing ear dogs? It's not a very Winston Momus question, but I couldn't really come up with a good example of how a Winston's Momus question would be, but
you get the gist.
That's the question I came up with. That's what I'm curious. If you take a bunch of blind dogs and release them into a convention of deaf people, do the blind dogs become hearing ear dogs for the deaf? You know, I actually cleaned it off a little bit the other day too, but it's still pretty filthy.
Mine's pretty filthy too.
We've got stickers to cover it up.
My girl Ursula.
She and Delilah both like anime stickers to put on stuff, like the laptop or whatever.
I really do. I really am. Me and her bonded over stickers. This was like a while back. I think maybe for Father's Day we were talking about how much we love stickers.
There's got to be a beta quarter NI thing. They're both gases under pressure within an appropriate container. That's the marriage of them? No, that's not the marriage of them. The marriage of them is it's a way to drink your coffee so that you can light it without having a working lighter. So what you do is you infuse this butane, dissolve this gas, as much of it as possible, into the coffee. And then after you've had some coffee and it goes to light your cigarette, you just spark it without, now remember the lighter is broken, it doesn't have any gas, but it still has a sparker. And a small flame will come on top of it and be like a sterno kind of heating kind of thing. And then you can just
coffee flambe.
And then when the flame goes out, it's done. But the thing is,
sounds so magical.
What we really have to be marketing then would be a machine that dissolves butane gas into coffee. If we were talking about a product. So when I ask these kind of questions, normally I say, I've come up with a new product that combines meow and meow. What do you want to call it? Winston's mom's variant on it says, tell me about the marriage of these two objects, which I like as it's a totally different question, really, because the question is really asked, the answer is really going to reveal to me what's your default way of approaching it? So now that you've heard me take my sort of default way of approaching it, you understand what the question is asking more. So being an NI-DOM, you'll probably be able to imitate it pretty well because it's an example of a pattern, right? Okay, I will give you another one. Tell me about the marriage
Winston's mom wants to know.
of a premium. Winston's mom wants to know. Tell me about the marriage of a premium joint. This is a pre-rolled joint that is supposedly like good stuff. It was had like the paper is like dampened with oil, and then it's rolled in keef, so it's got keef, oil, and weed. Anyway, tell me about the marriage between this premium joint and this magnifying glass. I kind of get it, but not all the way. Do you mind giving me a few more examples of the question? Okay, so another example would be, tell me about the marriage of a pack of cigarettes and a flashlight. The kind of question I would ask is, say, I've got a flashlight that I made that has a silver cigarette case attached to it, with a button you can push that shoots out a cigarette, so at the distance of exactly arm's length, so that when you're using your flashlight and it's out in front of you, you push the button on this side of this and it'll shoot cigarette straight to your mouth, like this. Like you shoot, pow, it goes, pow, like that.
Oh, that's nice. I was thinking,
Is it a self-igniting joint? Like it ignites itself with enough sunlight, but less than would be needed for a regular joint? I don't think you really want it to be self-igniting at the whim of the sun. You should ideally be able to swivel the magnifying glass around so it doesn't light.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is it's such a one-use product, right? It's like you just throw the magnifying glass away when you're done, or what? I'm thinking instead that that basically there's somebody in the world whose anime powers need to be released. There's some sort of magical anime style powers need to be released by smoking weed. But the symbol that's printed right here on their left temple is printed in extremely small Japanese characters. They're tattooed right here. The magnifying glass is for you to be looking at people's temples until you find this savior of humanity whose powers need to be unlocked by smoking a joint. Once you find him using the magnifying glass and identifying, yep, that's him, then you just detach the magnifying glass and give him the joint. Right? That makes sense.
That makes sense. Sure.
That would be why you'd want to have the magnifying glass attached to the joint. Because otherwise you're just going to smoke the joint right away.
Yeah.
Unless you have it set aside for something specific like this, there's no reason to attach the magnifying glass. You're going to smoke the joint before you even get around to getting enough sunlight to light it on fire.
I do appreciate the thought, though.
Kitty's inside the house.
Kitty's inside the house? Oh, she went in when you went to the bathroom.
Yeah. I guess she must have darted out when I went out and was right behind me when I went up to the door. She wanted to go in there.
Oh, wow. Well, it's cold.
Now, the question, of course, is what power does this guy have from his marijuana smoking? Well, according to Baki, the terrible ESFP cartoon that about which this is this titled, that gives you the power to have a super relaxed form of martial arts where every time something hits you, it takes advantage of the same mechanics as how when a old person falls, they break easily, but a baby, when they fall from even a big height, they can be just fine. Just like that. That's how marijuana makes you invulnerable to punches. That's how it was in Baki. There was one person in there who smokes marijuana, and that's part of his
Oh,
martial arts.
I didn't know that.
Of course, it's very, very silly ESFP notion because marijuana doesn't do anything like that to you. But tell me what you mean by the marriage of two objects. I don't mean anything specific by it. That's the idea of the question. Is really, I'm asking you to respond to this question that's not giving you enough information to respond to it, right? If you ask that question, Christopher Caesar, like if I was typing you real time and I asked you to tell me about the marriage between these two objects, and you said, well, what exactly do you mean by the marriage of two objects? That would be suggestive of one thing and not another thing, right? So like an ENTP is not likely to ask you what you mean by that. An ENTP is just likely to go with it and just go, okay. Because, we just jump right into fun ideation game. Ooh, okay, cool. INTP is much more likely to ask, well, you got to define this. I need a frame to use my NE. NE is not the frame itself, So, like that. So when I'm asked the question, because I didn't make up the question, right? How do I define it? When I ask it, well, when I answer it, I'm apparently defining it as, tell me why these two things are together. I guess. Mm-hmm. Probably through apparently through a teleological frame. Tell me a story that explains why these two things are together through a desired outcomes frame of reference.
I go so basic. I guess that's my any ignoring.
I don't know what would you tell me, Rachel? Tell me about the marriage between this remote control and this weed tray.
Oh, now I have to get creative. Okay. So the remote control and the weed set came together. And it looks like a remote control, but it's actually like you can dial any sort of weed supply place.
Oh. It's a weed store Hulu.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And the tray is just there to remind you that's what it's for?
Like, that's where it lands. That's where
so it's a magical.
Yeah.
It's a magical weed store Hulu.
Yeah.
Does it deliver you digital pot or real pot?
Real pot.
Oh. Okay, maybe it uses drones. There's a drone landing zone.
Yeah, a drone landing zone. Exactly. It has like a radar for. Thank you for helping me with that.
See, in this instance, when I asked that question and I was waiting for you to answer, of course, being any dom means I'm already answering in my own head at the same time. Ah!
What?
It was a skunk.
Where?
There was a skunk right here.
Oh my God! Why is it here?
It wants food, bro. Maybe we should feed it.
Okay, just be careful that. Maybe that's what's been squirting.
No, that's not skunk smell. Skunk has a very distinct smell. Ah! I'll get you some food, but just go away.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be scared of it now. Why are you skunk?
Just throw some food down there and then help.
Do you want me to?
No, I got it.
Okay.
There you go, Skunky stuff. Down there. Go down there. Okay. Wildlife makes me squeal like a little girl.
Oh my gosh, but I was really like what do they call that? I guess adrenaline?
Yeah, well, because there's a movement there, and I said, I know the cat's in the house.
Yes.
That was my initial thought when I heard that was the cat's in the house. I turned about to start thinking like maybe it's trouble, and
Oh my gosh, it was a skunk.
and then it was a skunk,
Oh.
and it was poking its head into the door here.
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah, I was gonna come in and try to eat this cat food. But
well, thank you for feeding it on the ground outside.
Cool. It's down there right now eating. Here, look at the flashlight if you want.
Thank you. Oh, hi, skunk. Wow.
That's good.
Yeah, that is good.
Never got another animal that's gonna come knock on our door for food.
You really are Hagrid's house.
The peacock honks at us when we are
Yeah.
when we don't feed it soon enough, right? And and Trouble has learned to knock on the door. He's the other cat, you know. And the other night he knocked but he knocks louder than Pee-Pee. It was like bang, and I was like, "What is that?" I went and it was Trouble. And now this skunk, he didn't knock because the door was cracked open. But he peeked his little face in. Yeah.
That is overstepping boundaries.
So, besides the peacock, we've got 2 cats and now a skunk as well. Skunks are related to ferrets.
Are they? Mustos.
Oh. Well, anyway, you can hear him eating out there right now. It's funny. It's kind of crunchy, kind of loudly. Skunks are strangely fearless creatures because of their stinkiness, I guess.
Do they remove the ferret scent glands? That's... wow.
So I was going to talk about something right before I saw the skunk. I was in the middle of something I was going to talk about.
Someone... yeah.
Let me see if I can remember what it was.
Oh, we were talking about how you already had a story because of your NE going.
Yeah, about the marriage of that and that.
Yeah.
And what I was going, my thing was, well, one day the remote control saw the tray at the park and said, "Hey there, have anybody ever told you that that bee on your tray looks like a pair of boobs?" And the tray's like, "You're so funny." After a couple years of dating, they eventually got married.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, I was more like a business partner.
Right. Eric, your voice is so deep. At what age did it drop? Or was it in high school? Wasn't that low? And no, yeah, it wasn't that low in high school. It's gotten steadily a little bit lower over time. But I don't think of myself as having a very deep voice. I think I got kind of a medium voice.
You got a nice voice. I like falling asleep to your streams and YouTubes. You do have very nice voice.
Okay, Christopher Caesar, I'm going to borrow your expression in responding to this. Christopher Caesar says, "Eric, can you identify functions in someone's writing like a poem or a written short story?" My hesitant answer is yes. But the thing is, remember, it's the way I'm evaluating that is I'm seeing how successfully something resonates, say, with my NI, and I'm drawing conclusions about how successfully the person who created it used their NI. So there's a leap of logic there, right? It's quite plausible, possible, even likely that an ENTP, for example, will spend a lot of time thinking about how to write like somebody else, or who are the various people I can be when I write? Because your FI polar means, of course, you're not very Looks like the microphone is the host of the show, huh? Because you're meowing. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I think I'm about done here tonight. It is Sleepy Week is over, yes, sort of, but I actually don't have Adderall. I didn't have any Adderall today, and I'm not gonna have any tomorrow. I might have some Monday. I almost certainly will by Tuesday. But oh, there's the Nashville 5 with Chris Ebert Realtor.
Oh, hey.
Space vertical line. He's here again, and I'm glad to see you. I've thought about you since you last came in here, which is I think the first time I remember you anyway, because of your name being too long.
It is. Oh, I remember the name too because I remember you saying it was too long. It was a few streams ago.
This guy, I can get Adderall if I want to. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
has
just
like
not,
3 connects.
Yeah, I'm just not going to until I get my bottle.
You want a bedtime story?
No, I don't have it in me tonight. It's gonna be a fairly early night here. It's 10 p.m. and I'm tired. So thank you all for being here, and I hope you will remember not to forget to remember to not forget to remember to not forget to eat plenty of cheese.
Plenty of cheese.
Bring the skunk inside and attempt to type it. The kind of thing that ESTPs say with a straight face to people who sometimes go, "Oh, okay,
So
I
true.
guess." And then
that's why
and then the ESTPs at the end of it is like, "I can't believe you did that." And they're like, "You told me to." How many times has that happened to you, Legends Fall, where you're giving somebody this kind of terrible advice and they've actually gone like, "Okay, I guess I'll do that." Realtor only has 2 syllables, not realtor. Realtor.
Realtor.
Well, I like it. I like it to be realtor.
I do too.
You just have to have conviction when you say it. Because I think it must have been an ESTP cook who, back when I worked at the deli, one day I burned my finger on the oven, and not terribly badly, but and he's like, no, you just got to burn it again. You see it, you just put it right there again, and then it'll feel better. I'm like, really? Yeah. I'm like, ow. It's like, I can't believe you did that. Fuck you.
It's true.
I now that you say it, I can't believe I did that either. So I want to know, Nashville 5 with Chris Ebert, realtor. Do you get mad when people call you a realtor? Or are you okay? You're okay with either of them? If somebody, hi, are you a realtor? I'm here to sell. I want to sell my house. You go, not for you. I'm not. Not for anybody. Am I a realtor? I'm a realtor. Okay. So good day to you, sir. Present and former realtors find it annoying and banal. Present or former. You'll answer to either or either. But you really are secretly seething when you hear someone call you a realtor. I said good day. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, thanks for being here. Talk to you all later. That was fun. I really enjoyed hanging out with you all.
Me too.